Good morning. It is October 2nd, 2023. We're doing the New York Times Daily Newsletter. Today's propagandist is German Lopez. We're covering a successful global AIDS program, as well as a Trump trial, an EU meeting, and the WNBA. So, a successful global AIDS program is one that Fauci wasn't involved in since he killed lots of people. Shining example. For decades, the U.S. has bankrolled global efforts to fight the spread of AIDS, saving tens of millions of lives. Congress has extended the program on a bipartisan basis since President George W. Bush created it in 2003. At least until now, Congress is gridlocked on a bill that would reauthorize the program, known as PEPFAR. Lawmakers passed a spending deal on Saturday to avert a government shutdown for 45 days, but the legislation did not reauthorize the AIDS program. Without reauthorization, parts of the program expired over the weekend. If Congress does not act soon, organizations that deliver life-saving drug treatments and other forms of support to HIV patients could have to curtail their work, and some specific measures could lose funding, including one that provides care for orphans and other vulnerable children. PEPFAR has been a shining example of a bipartisan commitment to address a global health issue. My colleague Cheryl Gay Stolberg, who covers health policy, told me if it doesn't get reauthorized, it will be an example of how Washington is so broken that it's even abandoning its moral leadership in the world. Why is this happening? Abortion policies are largely to blame. Some of the health organizations that fight AIDS also provide abortion services, and Republicans do not want to subsidize these groups. Even if the money does not directly fund abortions, these critics worry that PEPFAR strengthens the groups that provide them. House Republicans passed a bill last week extending the program only for 1 year and with more anti-abortion restrictions. Supporters, including some Republicans, want a 5-year extension without any new anti-abortion language. Many worry that cutting off groups that also provide abortions would damage anti-AIDS efforts. In recent weeks, Bush himself, an opponent of abortion rights, lobbied for the program's renewal. I'm really curious as to what abortion and AIDS have to go hand in hand. Why are AIDS organizations promoting abortion too? That seems strange to me. Why couldn't it just be an anti-AIDS group? Why do they also need to support abortions? That makes little sense. Global success. There is no partisan dispute on one point. The AIDS relief program is a major public health success. It has saved 25 million lives, equivalent to the population of Australia. In some countries, it has helped reduce the rate of HIV infections by half or more. How? The program funds healthcare services in more than 50 countries. It has helped build clinics that distribute antiretroviral medications for HIV, which reduce the risk of developing AIDS and undercut the virus's ability to spread. It has established testing centers to help catch the virus earlier, and it has encouraged other preventative measures such as safer sex practices and circumcision. Circumcision has nothing to do with AIDS prevention. Why would we be doing that? What does that have to do with anything? The program is especially important in Western and Southern Africa. Many HIV patients in these regions otherwise struggle to get treatment. Nothing in the program directly funds abortions. Critics' argument is that, in short, the money is fungible. That's true. Program partners may not use federal funds directly on abortions, but they may use the money to set aside other dollars that can go to abortions. The critics want the program to stop supporting any group that provides abortion services. I don't see why. Why do you need it? We take care of AIDS because we want to save lives, but then we want to kill babies. Why? But PEPFAR operates in many countries that lack basic healthcare infrastructure, so it cannot be all that picky in choosing partners. In some regions of the world, strict anti-abortion language could force the program to pull out because it would no longer be able to find a partner that meets its standards. More people would die from AIDS as a result. Yeah, well, you're promoting killing babies. How many babies are you killing? You know, and I noticed you didn't mention in South Africa that in South Africa they actually sexually abuse babies because they think that's a cure. That's part of the problem. No, nothing is changing that, is it? What's next? PEPFAR remains funded for now. So up there, it said it didn't. So they flat out lied. It was reauthorized. But Congress has not passed a longer-term extension of the program, which requires a separate bill. So again, it's funded. They're lying. Fear porn. If Congress does not reauthorize the program, it could send a chilling message. For the first time in decades, the global fight against AIDS would no longer seem like a bipartisan priority. The program's partners may start to wonder whether they can rely on funding and if they should work with the U.S. on a now politicized issue. It would be a huge departure from the past, said Jennifer Cates of KFF, a health policy organization. For an AIDS fight that has saved so many people over the past decade, those problems could over time translate to millions of preventable deaths. Like abortions? Abortions are preventable deaths. Women in poor places where HIV is still common often struggle to get preventative medicine. Women typically don't get HIV unless it's, a violent encounter. It needs blood. It doesn't typically spread through that. Politics. A trial began today. A New York lawsuit accusing Donald Trump of fraudulently inflating his wealth. The Trump campaign is using the case as an opportunity to rally supporters. Governor Gavin Newsom chose LaFonza Butler, the president of the political organization's Emily List, to fill California's seat vacancy after the death of Dianne Feinstein. So I'm gonna guess that's a diversity hire because, it's that's the chick. That's the one that Adam Schiff did not want to be in there. So yeah, he's gonna be furious now. That ends his ambitions. Okay, Representative Matt Gaetz, the hard-right Republican from Florida, said he would try to remove Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker for working with Democrats to avert a government shutdown. McCarthy said Gaetz' efforts would fail, telling CBS, "I'll survive. You know this is personal with Matt." Meaning, yeah, he's going to survive with Democrat help because he is part of the Uniparty. War in Ukraine, a Russia-leaning party finished first in Slovakia's parliamentary elections, a sign of flagging support for Ukraine in the West. It's not Russia leaning. They just don't hate Russia. That's all. Now we're to the point where, like, if you don't express that you hate Russia and want them to die, you're called a Russian leaning or Putin puppet or whatever. Like, I don't support Russia or Ukraine in the war. I want the war to end right away. Okay. And I don't care how it ends. So for that, I'll be called a Putin apologist because I'm like, yeah, if the war ended today and Putin keeps the Donbass regions, okay, fine. Don't care. I just want the war to end. Foreign ministers from the EU member countries are gathering in Kiev for a surprise meeting. Russia may be preparing to test an experimental nuclear-powered cruise missile, according to a Times investigation. International fire has reached us. The Times pieced together the desperate final hours of the Syrian asylum seekers who died in a wildfire in a Greek forest. It's unfortunate. Turkey conducted airstrikes against the Kurdish rebel organization that took responsibility for a suicide bomb attack in Ankara. A fire broke out on a nightclub complex in southeastern Spain, killing at least 13. The Catholic Church. Catholic bishops will discuss priestly celibacy and the blessings of gay couples at an assembly in the Vatican known as the Synod. Are you kidding me? They're going to let priests not be celibate anymore? That kind of ends the Catholic Church, doesn't it? And blessing of gay couples is antithetical to the Catholic faith. This dude, he is absolutely, like, he's a communist. He's destroying the Catholic Church. And I'm not a Catholic, so I guess it's on you guys to let this happen. Pope Francis has invited lay people, including women, to attend and vote during the meeting for the first time. Prominent Texas bishop who is critical of Pope Francis said the meeting threatens the basic truths of Catholic doctrine. It does. He's uprooting that, so he's altering a thousands-year-old tradition. We'll see how that goes. Other big stories. The Supreme Court returned today for a new term. Justices are expected to revisit issues like gun rights, race, and free speech. Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of FTX, will stand trial this week for fraud. Many in the crypto industry want to see him held accountable. Yeah, because he spent hundreds of millions of dollars that he stole and helped influence the 2020 election. But we're not going to talk about that and say, hey, that was corrupt. So corruption helped Biden win. The authorities in New York are searching for a 9-year-old girl who disappeared while riding a bike with friends at a state park. Hope they find her. 3 police officers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, are accused of trying to cover up their use of stun guns during a strip search in a department restroom. A grizzly bear that killed 2 people in Banff National Park in Canada, officials said. The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded to Caitlin Carrico and Drew Weissman for their discoveries that led to the development of fake. I'm not going to say the word or I'll get in trouble. Republicans want to change how we talk about the extreme abortion policies. You mean like any policy? You mean like in Colorado, Virginia, and New York where you can kill a live baby? That's extreme. Moving away from terms like pro-life, we threaten women's lives if we let them. Columnist on Christian nationalism and the use of unions. Rise of the snake charmers in the small Italian village of Cuculo. Draping snakes over the statue gives us a century-old ritual. cares about that? Dogs on film. A puppy wading through space. A dog digitally placed on a train passing plane. Alpine mountains. Much of the content of dog TV and television. The subscription service is meant to cater to bored and anxious dogs who are left home alone, but owners, it appears, are watching too. One dog owner, Jay, described his wife coming home to find him watching the channel. She'll be like, "What are you doing?" And he said, and I'm like, "Well, you got to see this. They're going through fields and the ducks are following them." Okay. It shows you're really bored, man. Really bored. Get a book. Read a book. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is leaving from Netflix. That's a shame. All right. Today in history, October 2nd, 1944, German troops crushed the 2-month-old Warsaw Uprising, during which 250,000 people had been slaughtered. On this date in 1869, political and spiritual leader Mohandas Gandhi was born in Porbandar, India. In 1919, President Woodrow Wilson had a serious stroke at the White House that left him paralyzed on his left side. In 1941, during World War II, German armies launched an all-out drive against Moscow. Soviet forces succeed in holding on to their capital. In 1959, Rod Sterling's The Twilight Zone made its debut on CBS with the episode Where Is Everybody?, starring Earl Holliman. In 1967, Thurgood Marshall was sworn in as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court as the court opened its new term. In 1970, one of two chartered twin-engine planes flying the Wichita State University football team to Utah crashed into a mountain near Silver Plume, Colorado, killing 31 out of 40 people on board. 9 people survived that. That's pretty intense. 1984, Richard W. Miller became the first FBI agent to be arrested and charged with espionage. Miller was tried 3 times. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but was released after 9. In 1986, the Senate joined the House in voting to override President Reagan's veto of stiff economic sanctions against South Africa. In 2006, an armed milk truck driver took a group of girls hostage in an Amish schoolhouse in Nickel Mines, Pennsylvania, killing 5 of them and wounding 5 others before taking his own life. In 2013, a jury in Los Angeles cleared a concert promoter of negligence, rejecting a lawsuit brought by Michael Jackson's mother, claiming AEG Live had been negligent in hiring the doctor who killed the pop star with an overdose of a hospital anesthetic in 2009. In 2016, Hall of Fame baseball broadcaster Vin Scully signed off for the last time, ending 67 years behind the mic for the Los Angeles Dodgers, as he called the team's 7-1 loss to the Giants in San Francisco. In 2019, House Democrats threatened to make White House defiance of a congressional request for testimony and documents potential grounds for an article of impeachment against President Donald Trump. In 2017, why did it flip around? 2019 and 2017, they entered wrong. In 2017, rock superstar Tom Petty died at Los Angeles hotel at age 66, a day after going into cardiac arrest at his home. In 2020, stricken by corona, President Donald Trump was ejected with experimental drug combination at the White House before being flown to a military hospital where he was given remdesivir, an antiviral drug. In 2022, police firing tear gas after an Indonesian soccer match in an attempt to stop violence triggered the disastrous crush of France that left at least 125 people dead. Happy Monday.